over the last several weeks, we started to analyze one at a time the different types of people, different makeups that we have, right? We analyzed the tzaddik, the righteous man. We spoke about how this righteous man is someone who has complete control over his evil tendencies, over his drives that he has, to the point that he no longer has any drive, any push to do something that is not in line with holiness. We spoke about a Rasha, someone who is the opposite, someone who is completely in control of his impulses, of his drives. And then we spoke about the Beinoni. The Beinoni is someone who is in between. He has the drive, he has the desires to go and do things that are not necessarily in line with the most holy way of all the path. But at the same time, he completely is in control, that he never allows himself to fall through the trap. He never allows himself to make a mistake and do the wrong thing. So it sounds like the Beinoni is basically in between. He's kind of like the middle ground. But the truth is, he's not middle ground at all. In fact, he's really just a mixed up guy in a way. He has these two things going on within him that are complete opposites. On the one hand, he is a tzaddik. The way he acts, the way he actually makes decisions that he makes, the thought, speech, and actions that he does do are 100% like a tzaddik. He's perfect. On the other hand, when it comes to the thoughts, the desires, the drives that he is 100% like a Rasha. There's no difference. So this guy is basically living in a constant tug of war. He's living this dual reality where inside he is like a Rasha, and the outside he's a tzaddik, which is this weird in-between place to be, that he has this constant tug pulling him in both directions. He has his inside going one way, his outside going the other way, and he has to keep up with the two of them. We mentioned a quote from the Talmud in the very first chapter. In this chapter, by the way, we're going to be bringing up a lot of things that we spoke about in chapter 1. We're going to start answering the questions that we had in chapter 1.
Which chapter were we looking at?
This is chapter 13. So, that's right. Special number. We're going to be bringing up a lot of things that we discussed previously back in chapter 1. Questions that we brought up then, we're going to start answering them now in this chapter. So one of the things we brought up, remember we did a lot of quotes in chapter 1, all different quotes about these types of people, tzaddik, rasha, and beinoni. One of the quotes we brought from the Talmud was, tzaddik yetzer tov shoftan. What is a tzaddik? A tzaddik is someone who is shofet. He is ruled by his yetzer tov, by his good side, by his good inclinations. Rishayim, evil people, yetzer hara shoftan. They're ruled by they're judged by their evil inclinations. Beinanim zeh v'zeh shoftan. A Beinoni is someone who is judged by both. There's two judges. There's the judge on the right, the judge on the left. There's the judge that's the yetzer hara, and there is the judge that is the yetzer tov, the good side and the bad side that are judging him at all times. You are.
In Tanya.
Yeah. We'll elaborate more. So there is this judgment going on at all time. But who's doing it? The judgment is being done by the Yetzer Tov and Yetzer Hara. Those are the judges.
They're trying to take control.
Let's elaborate and see if you still have the questions. So we have the Alter Rebbe points out here. The word in the Talmud is shofet, shoftan, a judge. Right? We don't say moshel. What would be a moshel? Moshel would be a ruler.
Governor.
A ruler. A governor rules, right? He's in charge, right? In other words, chas v'shalom, to say about a Beinoni, zeh v'zeh shoftan, that both the Yetzer Tov and the Yetzer Hara are ruling him. Because if even for one moment, we said previously, if even for one moment, the Yetzer Hara is ruling him, at that moment, he's not a Beinoni. What is he? He's a Rasha. If he ever allows the Yetzer Hara, the evil inclination, to rule over him, At that moment, he is a Rasha. He is not a Beinoni. So the Beinoni obviously does not get ruled by these two powers. Rather, it's two judges. The way it works in a Bet Din, in a Jewish court of law, is there's not one judge, there's three judges. Jewish court of law has a minimum of three judges. You can have more, but it's always an odd number. For this reason, we're going to explain now. There is always a minimum of three judges. Why do you have three judges? One judge says guilty, one judge says innocent. Now you have the third guy is the one making the decision. There always has to be a majority rule. The majority makes the decision. That's how it works. So you have two opposing judges, and you have the third one who is the arbiter. He's the one who comes between them, and he is the one who is the deciding factor. At the end of the day, when these two judges can't make up their minds, can't agree on anything. Now let's go back to our small city that we're talking about over here. The small city that has two judges. He has the left side of his heart that has a desire. We said the left side of the heart is the abode for the nefesh habahamis, for the animal soul. It's where our desires come from. So the left side of the heart comes up with a desire. He wants something. He's in the mood of a donut. I want a donut. So he sends the signal up to the brain. He tells the brain, we want a donut. Now, the brain, what's in the brain? Who lives in the brain? We said the godly soul lives in the brain. It comes up to the second judge, and the first judge says, I want a donut. The second judge says, no donuts. What do you mean donuts? We're not looking to get involved in these worldly, materialistic matters. We want to do godly things. We want to do holy things. That donut is not going to help me in my godly service. I don't want a donut. So now we have a conundrum. We have two opposing judges. One says yes, donut. The other one says no, donut. So now what happens? Now we go to the third judge. Who's the third judge? Perhaps this answers your question. Who's the third judge? The third judge in the Beinoni is God. God is that third judge. We have on one side, we have the animal soul that wants something. You have the godly soul that says, I don't want that. And so the third judge, God, comes in and makes the decision. And being that he's a Beinoni, being that he is judged by these three judgments, the godly soul, the God's help will always come for the godly soul, and he will always make the right decision. God will always make the ultimate judgment that he will pass this test and stay strong and not make the wrong decision. Yes.
You commented that God will give power to the godly soul and give the judgment in that favor. Is there space for the animal soul to get godly?
Not in the Beinoni, no.
And somebody else there is? Like
the Rasha doesn't need God's help because he's not being judged by these judges. It's rulership of the animal soul.
The Beinoni is the only one who has this problem because it's something that's transformed.
Exactly. The Rasha is in control of the animal soul. The animal soul is ruling. Remember, we said the godly soul is hovering above his head.
Because it's a tug of war that has to pull in one direction.
Exactly. God's always going to choose the right thing. God's not going to choose the wrong thing.
So is he getting free choice now?
He's getting free choice to live his life in this way.
To get to the level of Beinoni.
It's a lot of effort to get there. He put in the effort to be there. Remember, this is not. We mentioned previously. This is a very high level that most of us we can only strive for. Right? A Beinoni is not a simple guy. The Alter Rabbi says it's for everyone, and it is for everyone, and we have to try our best to be that everyone. But it's a challenge. So it's not something that we just experience. Aha! Exactly, the tug of war. That's what we spoke about, right?
Oh, you make that.
Yeah, she mentioned in the class that she's got to make a tug of war. I don't think I saw the actual picture yet.
No, you didn't.
Very good. So, how does this godly help come? Which way does God help the Beinoni? So we say what actually comes out practically at the end of the day, he's the third judge. How does God do this judgment? How does God actually In reality, how does it work? How does it happen? God simply shines a light. We spoke about the power of light over darkness, and so God brings light to the godly soul. He gives the godly soul a special light, a shine, which in that way, that light overpowers the darkness of the animal soul. It overpowers the foolishness of the animal soul, and therefore the godly soul prevails, and the person makes the right choice. And this is what happens every day, constantly in the life of a Beinoni. He has this inner battle. He has these two judgments going on constantly. He has the two sides that are arguing and can't make up their minds and can never agree on anything. Every time one says right, the other says left, one says yes, one says no, one says hot, one says cold. They always argue about everything, these two. They can never get along.
They're like siblings.
Yeah, they are siblings. And God is always there to make the final decision and make sure that this guy stays on the up and up and he stays in the proper path. So although he's having this battle, he has, excuse me, ultimately, he has a judgment coming out in his favor of doing the right thing, right? He has this dilemma about eating the donut. And ultimately, he gets this special light that comes and shines on the godly soul. And he makes a decision, I'm not going to touch that donut. It's just a want. It's not a need. I'm not having it. Did that change who he is? Did that have an effect on him? Or is it just a decision in the moment? Does that change the person? What happened at that moment?
It's like asking if somebody goes to the gym and does one round, does it change them? No, but it puts into practice good habits and.
So the decision at the moment was a good decision, right? It was good for him at that moment, but it doesn't change him.
It doesn't make somebody fit.
It doesn't make the animal soul any less strong than it was before. It doesn't make the godly soul any stronger than it was before. It's like think about the Supreme Court, right? You have the majority rules. You have a majority opinion and a minority opinion. In this case, the majority won the case. Does it make the minority opinion any less of a judge? Does it make them any less of a Supreme Court justice?
No.
They're still the same. They have the same power they had before. The ruling wasn't in their favor, but they're still a judge just like they were a judge before. Nothing changed in the status of either the majority opinion or the minority opinion. And so here you have, when you have these two judges, you have the majority opinion, which is the godly soul. The minority opinion is the animal soul. The animal soul loses the case, but it doesn't change who the Beinoni is. It doesn't make him into a tzaddik. It doesn't make him any less of a Rasha. Deep down inside, he's still the same. He has the same impulses, the same drive as any regular Rasha. Nothing changed. He's still exactly who he was before. Which now brings us back again to the first chapter of Tanya, to the question we asked in the very first beginning of Tanya, the beginning chapter of the beginning chapter of Tanya. We brought there a quote from the Mishnah, where it said that before a person is born, they make the person swear that he's going to be a tzaddik and not going to be a rasha, right? And then the next thing we said was, even if the entire world tells you you are a tzaddik, in your eyes, you should be like a rasha. We brought a quote from the Talmud. Every time, no matter how much people tell you that you are a tzaddik, you're holy, you're great, you do everything great, don't feel so good about yourself. In your eyes, think of yourself as a rasha, as an evil person. And the Tanya right away asked the question, how could you tell someone to think of himself as a rasha? That's not a very motivating way of doing things. If I consider myself a rasha, then I'm going to be depressed. Or if I'm not depressed, then it means I'm not caring anymore. If I don't care, then it's the same problem again. It's not helpful to think of myself as a rasha. It's not a good thing to think of yourself as a rasha. So
where's the motivation?
There was the motivation. So how could the Talmud tell you have to think of yourself as a rasha? So now the Tanya tells us it doesn't mean a rasha. It says like a rasha. Ki rasha. What is like a rasha? Who is like a rasha? The Beinoni. Because the Beinoni has the same drives and impulses as a rasha. In other words, what Tanya explains here, what is the Talmud telling you? The Talmud is telling you, no matter how great you think you are, No matter how beautiful your life is, how you do everything right, you don't make any mistakes, don't think of yourself as a tzaddik. Don't be so big in yourself. Think of yourself as a Beinani, as a middle guy. You're just a middle guy like everybody else. Don't think that you're so holy that you're a tzaddik. You haven't made it that far. You're a Beinani. You are Kir Rasha. You are like a Rasha. This is the message that the Talmud is telling us there. So even though people are telling you, wow, you're so holy, you have to be vigilant. You have to be on top of your game. Because if you start thinking everything is good, that's where you're going to slip up. That's where you're going to be pulled down and show that you actually are not just like a Russia, perhaps an actual Russia. You have to be careful to stay on top of your game. Not only is your animal soul still there, because we said that a tzaddik, the animal soul is gone. Not only is the animal soul still there, you should know he's actually stronger than he was before. How is he stronger than he was before? Because every time we eat, we drink, we live our lives. We're not doing anything wrong. We're adding vitality and life to our animal soul. What is our physical life? Our physical life is our animal soul. That's what keeps us breathing and alive. So when we eat, when we drink, when we breathe, when we live our lives, we are adding life to ourselves, which is in this case our animal soul. So your animal soul is only stronger than it was before. It's only doing better than it was before. It's not gone at all. So don't look at yourself and say, life is good. I'm doing everything great. I'm a tzaddik. I'm holy. No, you're not holy. You're like everybody else. You are like a Rasha. You're a Beinani. You're only in between like everybody else. But what about someone who doesn't have those impulses? I don't have a drive to do anything wrong. I only want to do the right thing. The whole day, my thought is on doing good things. Only good things. I never have an interest in doing anything wrong. Maybe I am a tzaddik. At that point, do I say I'm a tzaddik now? Because I'm living this life where everything feels good, everything is done right?
No, you wouldn't be saying you're a tzaddik. But your impulse is to keep on doing good.
So we say that there can be a person who doesn't feel any drive because he has nothing pulling him right now. It's not because his animal soul is gone. His animal soul is simply bored. You haven't got him interested in anything yet. The right thing, the right trigger hasn't arrived yet. When the trigger arrives, you'll feel it. But it comes, it's going to come. Don't think just because you don't have a drive, you don't have an interest in eating donuts. Maybe you don't like donuts. Right? Just because you don't want a donut doesn't mean you're a tzaddik. It means you don't like donuts. So what? But there's something else you do like. You haven't seen yet that cheese Danish that you are going to like. When you see the cheese Danish, you're going to want the cheese Danish. Now you don't see it, so you don't want it. Just because you don't have a drive for something doesn't mean you have no more drive, you have no more animal soul. It doesn't mean that there's no more impulses. It means you simply haven't come to the right opportunity yet. The right challenge hasn't arrived yet for you. Very nice. But one day the challenge will arrive. It's going to hit you in the face like everybody else. That you're not a tzaddik, you're like everybody else. So just because a person feels like there's no challenges in life, I must be a tzaddik, you say, hold off, take it easy. Take it easy. Just because you don't feel anything doesn't mean you're a tzaddik. You still, like everybody else, you still have those drives, those impulses, and you still have to stay on top of it. You have to stay on top of your game. Because your essence might not have changed yet. What makes a tzaddik? When his actual essence has changed. And you don't know if your essence has changed. You haven't reached yet that point to say that your essence has changed. The only time you feel a change, you want to say something?
Pardon?
You're going to say something? Or?
No.
The only time you feel a change, the only time you feel that there's something different inside, when you feel the love overflowing from the right side of your heart to your left side of your heart, is only, as we mentioned previously, during prayer. When you're praying, when you're studying Torah, when you're deep in meditation, very good. Now the good side is ruling, it's in control. And now you feel, now you're on the level almost of a tzaddik. But you never fully banished your animal soul. The animal soul is still there. You knocked him down. You pushed him to the corner. But then he comes back. From the fact that he comes back later, shows that he was never gone. If you never pushed him away, Yeah, exactly. As long as they keep coming back, you never really push them away. Exactly.
Always welcome. Hi.
We were kids. I remember there was like a song or something with the cat came back. The cat came back the very next day, right? I thought he wasn't gonna, but the cat came back. He just keeps coming back. So the animal soul, as much as you pushed him down, you pushed him away, he comes back. Somehow he makes his way back. That means he was never really gone. So yeah, by your prayers, you were living on a high. But it was almost like a tzaddik. Remember, we described the battles of the Beinoni like the battle that was going on inside Rivka's womb. We said that when Rivka was pregnant, before she gave birth to Yaakov and Esav, she was confused because she felt inside these urges to connect with both the holy and the unholy. And she was worried, what's going on with my child? My child can't decide. He's living in two worlds. So she went to the tzaddik, and the tzaddik told her, don't worry, there's two of them. You have two inside. One's going this way, one's going that way. It's not one child with a split personality. It's two children, and they each have their own thing, their own push that they're going for something different. And we said that this applies to us as well. And it says in the Torah about when she asked the tzaddik about these two children, he said that there's going to be a constant battle. That battle is going to last until the coming of Mashiach. The battle between your two children, that are these two nations that are going to be coming forth from your womb, are going to be battling until the times of Mashiach, till it finally ends at that time. And throughout the generations from now until then, it's always going to be one goes up, one goes down. It's going to be a seesaw. They're going to be living on a seesaw, these two nations. One is going to be on a high, the other one's going to be on a low. The other one's going to go up, the other one's going to go down. They're going to be living their lives like this constantly. And so the same thing applies to us. So we're living this battle within us. We have these two sides. And when one goes up, the other goes down. It's always going to be this seesaw. There's always going to be. So you have the time of prayer where the godly soul is flying high. The animal soul is down below. He's pushed down. He's almost gone. But then the seesaw turns, right? The prayers are over. You get back to real life. Now you suddenly feel these urges again. Now the animal soul is pushed up, and the godly soul is pushed down. Now the seesaw swung the other way. And this is what life is constantly about for the Beinoni. He has this constant mood swings. He has this constant shift in his reality of which one is pushing him further in the other direction. The Beinoni can always sit down and meditate, think about God, think about the greatness of God, think about special holy thoughts, and this can generate within him an intense love of Hashem, and he can subdue his animal soul. He has the ability to subdue the animal soul, but to nullify him, that's for a tzaddik. That's something a Beinoni can't do. He can never complete the job and get rid of him. You can push him down, but he will come back up. He will pop back up at the right time or the wrong time. Who is a tzaddik? We mentioned previously. The tzaddik is someone who has a hatred. He has a repulsion to anything that's evil. He is completely repulsed to anything that is anti-God and anti-kedusha, anti-holiness. He has a strong feeling towards it, a negative feeling towards it, that he can't handle it. Either, as we said, there's two kinds of tzaddikim, right? Either he's a complete tzaddik where he has a complete hatred towards it, a complete repulsion, or he's an incomplete tzaddik where the hatred is not all the way through. But either way, he has a repulsion to something that is not in line with godliness. He's not able to connect with it. And that is a tzaddik, not a Beinoni. A Beinoni is not able to do that. The Beinoni, we said, the only time he achieves anything similar to that is during prayer, or not even during prayer. Beinoni can never achieve that, not even in his prayers. In his prayers, we said he pushes him down. He pushes down his negative side. But to completely be repulsed by it, that's something only a tzaddik can do. That's something only a tzaddik can truly feel. A Beinoni can get a taste, but it's not the same thing. You never can really truly reach there.
But as humans, we experience repulsion to things that are negative.
Mm-hmm. So we spoke about that, right? We spoke about how when you talk about something that is not good for you, right? So if we say that it's not good for you to eat too much sugar, right? So you're okay, you understand that you shouldn't be eating it, so you try to avoid it, right? But then somebody tells you don't eat that worm. I wasn't going to, right? I'm repulsed by it. It's disgusting. I don't want to touch a worm. You don't have to tell me that it's not healthy to eat worms. I shouldn't eat worms. I have no interest in eating a worm. It's something that I'm completely repulsed by it. So we each have our own. We spoke this. Each person has their own lines, their own red lines. When it comes to holy things and not holy things. So, for example, we spoke about there's a mitzvah in the Torah that you're not allowed to be a cannibal. Anybody have a desire to be? If you do, don't tell me. Anybody ever had a desire to be a cannibal, to eat a person? I have never had any desire to eat somebody. I may have a desire maybe to eat a cheeseburger, but to eat a person, I have no desire, right? There's some things that are not a challenge for me. Everybody has their own things. Everyone has their own challenges, and there are some things that are just not a challenge for certain people. It's something that I am repulsed by it. Naturally, I have a repulsion to it.
Like you worked on yourself and refined enough that because
Exactly. I didn't work on myself to not eat human beings. I never had a desire to work on it. It's not a challenge that I ever had. So we each have our own red lines. But to be completely repulsed by the very idea of doing something that is anti-God, that's what we're talking about. To say that I cannot do something because God doesn't like it, I can't stand it. That's what we're talking about. And that's something the level of the tzaddik. So the tzaddik banishes the animal soul. He gets rid of it. The Beinoni, what does he do? Puts him to sleep. His animal soul is sleeping. It's quiet. I don't hear you. Everything's good. Yeah, you put the kids to sleep. You didn't get rid of them. They're going to come back. They wake up in the morning or middle of the night. They're going to pop back up. So the same thing with the Beinoni. He's put his animal soul to sleep. It's quiet now. Everything's good. He's praying. He feels like the animal soul is gone. But it's not really gone. He's taking a nap. After the nap, he comes back. He's refreshed. Now he has energy. Now you better watch out, right? That's what he comes with the full energy. Which brings us to another question from chapter 1. In chapter 1, when we were describing the tzaddik, the rasha, and the Beinoni, we mentioned from the Talmud that Rabbi, who was a great Talmudic sage, one of the greatest Talmudic sages, one of the greatest rabbis who ever lived. Rabbi's name is mentioned in the Talmud hundreds of times.
Rabbi.
Rabbi.
What does it stand for?
No, it's not his name.
Oh.
No. Rabbi means great. Great. He was called the Great One.
Okay.
That's what he was referred to as. His actual name was Abba.
Abba?
Abba, like father.
Yeah.
But it's a name. In Hebrew, Abba's a name. That was his actual name. But Rabbi.
Abba.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So Rabbi, he was one of the greatest of the Talmudic sages. Very great. We said that he learned Torah so much. This guy, he never stopped learning Torah to the point that it was time for him to die. He couldn't die. The angel of death couldn't catch him because he was studying Torah the whole time. He didn't stop praying. He didn't stop studying. He wasn't studying. He couldn't stop studying. And the angel of death can't kill him as he's studying Torah. It was all he had to do a whole trick to get him to stop studying for a moment so that he could take his life. This is, we're talking about the greatest of the greats, right? And Rabbi, as you're discussing the tzaddik, the rasha, and the Beinoni, Rabbi says, you want to know what a Beinoni is? Like me, I'm a Beinoni. A Beinoni is someone like me. So one of his colleagues says, Rabbi, what you're doing now, you're not letting the rest of us live. If you're going to call yourself a Beinoni, what does that make the rest of us?
Chopped liver.
Exactly. Which means that there are no tzaddikim, and the world can't exist without tzaddikim. If you're not a tzaddik, then nobody is. If nobody is, the world is going to be destroyed. So you are telling us that the world has nothing to stand on. Because you are the greatest of the great, and you're telling me you're a Beinoni. Who are you following? You're not a Beinoni, you're a tzaddik. Stop trying to make yourself into a Beinoni. So we asked the question in chapter 1, How does such a great guy even think he's a Benini? Was he just trying to be modest? That's false modesty. If you know you're something and you say I'm nothing, it's not being modest. It's a joke. In fact, it says that's worse than boasting. False modesty is worse than boasting. Why? If you're boasting, at least you know that you're doing something. You know that you shouldn't be doing it. False modesty, what do you mean? I'm just being modest. I'm doing a good thing. I'm being holy. I'm doing the right thing. So Rabbi was not doing false modesty. He must have really felt that he's a Benini. How can Rabbi say about himself that he's a Benini? Such a holy person. The answer is, we just explained. What did Rabbi do all day?
He said he studied.
He studied Torah the entire day. When he was studying Torah with such an intense love, what happens to his animal soul? If he's a Benini, what happens to it? It goes to sleep.
Yeah.
So he didn't feel anything. He felt I must be, but just because I don't feel anything, I'm a tzaddik. It means that my animal soul is asleep because I studied Torah the whole day. If I would stop studying Torah, what's going to happen? My animal soul is going to wake up. Why should I assume that the animal soul is gone? Maybe it's still there. I just don't know because it's sleeping. Rabbi was practicing what we say, even if the whole world tells you you're a tzaddik, be in your own eyes like a rasha. In his own eyes, he says, I have to feel that I'm a Benini. I can't assume that it's gone just because I don't feel it. I don't feel it because it's sleeping, because I'm busy studying Torah the whole day. If I would stop studying Torah, it's going to jump right up. It's going to wake up. So Rabbi didn't say, I'm a tzaddik. Of course, he was a tzaddik. He just didn't want to take it as a fact that he is a tzaddik, because maybe it's not, maybe he's not.
He didn't trust himself?
That he didn't trust himself. The Talmud tells you,
yes,
you have to think of yourself. You have to always look at yourself in that way. He was following what the Talmud says. He's one of the authors of the Talmud. He's there's an old Hasidic saying that the angels in heaven, they look down on the humans and they see the humans doing things. They see us making mistakes. They see us doing things that we shouldn't do. And they look at us negatively. They look at those human beings. Look at them making bad decisions. Right? They look down on us and say, look at those humans that are sinning. What's the response? So there's an old Hasidic saying, the response to the angels is, it's very nice. It's so easy to be an angel up in heaven.
Mm.
You're living up in heaven. You have no temptations. You're living it up. And you can look down and say, hey, look at you. Try this yourself. Come down here. Let's see you live in this world. Let's see you have a family. Let's see you need a job and have to pay your bills and deal with all the things that we humans deal with. It's easy to be an angel in heaven. That's the expression. It's easy to be an angel in heaven. Try to be an angel here. To be an angel in heaven is no big game. Anybody can do that. Put me up in heaven, I'll be an angel too. So what? Try it down here. Try it with the life that we live. Try it with the realities that we live in. Try it with the difficulties, the challenges that we have here. You've never experienced those challenges. You can't look at me and say, what are you doing? If you don't understand the challenges that I have to live through. So Rabbi was saying, I'm living like an angel. I don't have the challenges. That's why I'm feeling like a tzaddik, because there's nothing challenging me. But if I would stop studying, if I would leave heaven, if I would come back to this world, if I would live in the materialism of this world, I'm no better than anybody else. I'm like everybody else. I'm just a Benini. Nothing to look at. We have one more question to address. Now that we understand the Benini, we understand that he gets this love for God. He feels this overwhelming love for God when he prays and when he studies Torah. The question is this love real? Is it authentic? Or is it just, is it a play? Is it a game or is it real?
It's real.
The problem we have with saying it's real, not saying it's not, but
Yeah.
the problem we have with saying it's real is that something that is true, like emet,
Yeah.
emet is eternal. Emet doesn't come and go. Something that is real is real. You can't say that 1 + 1 = 2 sometimes. Either it does equal 2 or it doesn't. Something that is real always and forever. It's not something that is temporary is not truth. It says in the Talmud it says that for certain things you have to have living waters, right? To purify, you have to have special living waters that are flowing waters. That's to keep flowing the river. A river that stops flowing once in 7 years, it dries up once in 7 years, is not considered a living water. It's not a true case of living water, because once in 7 years it stops. It's not consistent. It's inconsistent because it takes a break. Once in 7 years is considered inconsistent. So inconsistency is not real, is not true. If it's not constant, if it's not constantly true, then it never was true at all. So now coming back to the Beinoni. The Beinoni who doesn't always feel this love for God, is his love real? Or is it just a game? It's not consistent. He doesn't always feel it. He only feels it certain times. Does that mean that his love is not real if he's not a tzaddik? That's the question that we have now. But the Alter Rebbe says, don't worry, you're correct. The Alter Rebbe says, nonetheless, we can call it true. We can say it's real. The love is still real, it's still true, even though it's not constant, it's still consistent. It's consistent because it's not like it was one time you had this feeling of love. If you have a one time, a love comes and goes, and that's not real. That's not real. But if you can consistently bring it back, there is a path you can do. Not easy. You have to work on yourself, but you can do it. If you want to, you can sit down and pray your heart out to God. You can meditate on godly things, on how amazing God is. You can do something. You can bring this feeling back. Then it's real. You don't feel it always, but you always have the ability to feel it. It's not constant, but it's consistent. It's something that you have in you. You don't feel it all the time, but it's still there. You can pull it up at any time. Right? So if you have, let's say, you have a program on your computer. You have a browser on your computer. If you shut the browser, do you still have a browser?
Yeah.
It's still there. You just have to open it up again, right? But it's still there. You just don't see it. You're not looking at it right now. But it's there in the computer. You can always open it up again. So it is true. It is consistent. It is consistent. You can always pull it back up and bring it back there because it still exists. It's something that really exists. It's not something that's just fake. It's just a mirage. And we call this a subjective truth. On his level, for who he is, the Beinoni, for him, this is truth. It may not be truth for a tzaddik. A tzaddik, a love that comes and goes is not a true love. But for a Beinoni, on his level, for him it's true. It's his truth that there is this love. He does really feel this love. At any time he wants to pull up the love, he can pull up this love and have this feeling for God. The Alter Rebbe finishes the chapter by telling us how truth is the realm of Yaakov, of Jacob. We have the three fathers, right? The three patriarchs. Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. Avraham was chesed, kindness. He was all about kindness. Yitzchak was gvura, strength, severity, or holding back. Chesed, kindness, and gvura, severity, is not constant. You can't always be kind. You can't always be strict. It doesn't work to always have kindness. It doesn't work to always have strictness. You have to have a balance. And we see this also in their offspring. Avraham had 2 children. He had more children later on, but there's 2 main children. He had Yitzchak and Yishmael. Yitzchak was a tzaddik. Yishmael, not so much. So in his offspring, there was not a constant truth. You don't see truth in his offspring. You don't see a consistency that all of his children were tzaddikim. Yitzchak again had two children. He had Yaakov and Esav. Yaakov was a tzaddik. Esav was not so much. So again, we see an inconsistency. It doesn't follow through to his offspring that they're all tzaddikim. Yaakov is not chesed or gvura. Yaakov was tiferet. Tiferet is beauty. Tiferet is compassion. Tiferet is a mixture of the two sides, of the right and the left, the chesed, the kindness, and the gvura, the severity, bringing the two together. It's a balance. Balance, that's real. That's truth. Balance is something that can be consistent in truth, and therefore Yaakov represents real truth. And Yaakov had 12 children, and they were all tzaddikim.
Wow.
Yaakov was able to have the truth follow through into his offspring. The Mishkan, the tabernacle in the desert, the temporary Bet HaMikdash, right? It was built out of beams. The walls were built from these beams that they put one next to each other. And how did they stay up? What kept them standing as walls? There was these poles. There was 3 poles that held up the walls of the Mishkan. 2 poles along the outside, where they had kind of like rings on the outside, and they put a pole through it that held all the walls together. There was one on the top, one on the bottom. And then there was a 3rd pole that ran through the middle. That ran right through the pole. It was like a hole inside it, like a hollow space in the middle of the poles, and this kind of ran through the whole Mishkan. The Mishkan had 3 walls. The 4th wall was open. It was the opening, right? So there's 3 walls. The outer poles, the ones that ran through the rings, ran through this side, that side. There's a 3rd one going through each side had separate ones. That middle pole that ran through the middle, it was not 3 separate poles. It was one pole that ran through the middle, turned, kept going, turned again. It was a miracle. You can't do that. You can't take right unless it's soft. If it's soft, it's not going to hold it together. We're talking about a solid piece of wood. It was a gold-plated solid piece of wood, and it would turn. It would go through the middle and turn and go all the way through and come out the other side. Maybe I'll post a picture on the group afterwards to explain what I said. It's a little bit confusing.
Little?
But the idea is you have these outer poles on the top and the bottom that represent Avraham and Yitzchak, and you have the middle pole that represents Yaakov. The poles of Avraham and Yitzchak were not consistent. They weren't constant. They stopped and they started. They didn't run all the way through. The pole of Yaakov, the pole of Tiferet, the pole that is the middle ground, that runs through the essence. It runs through the middle of the pole, and it goes all the way around. It's constant. It doesn't stop. There's no breaks. It goes all the way through from one end to the other. There's more than one type of truth.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about any concept, right? You talk about anything you're learning about. Let's say we're talking about nutrition, right? You talk to a 2-year-old, 3-year-old about nutrition. You say sugar is bad, vegetables are good, a few little things, and the child knows that, and it's true, and the child knows that, and it's very good what the child knows, right? You teach something to the child. When you're talking as a professor to college students, if your college student returns an essay saying sugar is bad, vegetables are good, you're gonna fail him. That's not knowledge for a college student. It's the truth for a preschooler. It's not the truth for a college student. You're not on that level now. You're meant to have a different information now. What's true for one person is not necessarily the truth for another person. Obviously, we're not saying it's not true. It's true, but it's not the picture. It's not the full picture you're giving here because it's not the level that you're on. So there can be different ideas of truth for different people. A tzaddik and a benini are 2 different people. They have 2 different levels. Finish on a quick joke that I heard. I don't remember who the comedian was, but he says, I'll explain the theory of relativity with 2 hairs. 2 hairs can explain the theory of relativity. 2 hairs on your head is very little. 2 hairs in your soup is a lot. So it's all relative, right?
Yeah.
There's two ways of looking at things. Tzaddik is on one level, the Benini is on a different level. They each have their own path. They're each different people. Don't compare them. Don't say if it's not true for the Tzaddik means it's not true for the Benini. No. The Benini he's a different guy, he's a different life. He has his own needs, his own relative realities that he's living in. And for him, that is true. It's the fact that he has this love that he can pull up at any time. He has the ability to pull it up and make it happen any time. That is his true love, and that is the truth of the Benini. Next week, Bezrat Hashem, we will continue talking about the Benini, and we'll get there next week, Bezrat Hashem. And I will post, post a picture of the Mishkan, the walls of the Mishkan, so you see what I was talking about with that. Any questions, thoughts, or comments?
Yeah, the word emet, you probably know it.
Mm-hmm.
It's from Aleph ad Tav. It includes, like, from A to Z.
That's right.
Emet
And what's the mem?
What?
The mem is the middle letter.
That is right.
There you go. Go from the middle, from the beginning to the middle to the end.
the middle to the end.
That's right.
Emet.
Which is exactly the point, that it's consistent,
Yeah.
constant. It goes all the way through. Very good. Thanks for sharing.